Hello everybody, welcome back to the channel, Reading Ideas. I didn't keep my hands off the keyboard. Yeah, so what's happened? Of course, so it's politics. You really should keep out of politics. In the UK, we've had an election. In America, there's one coming up, and it's getting a bit tense. With the sides clashing, and the Democrats are trying to jail Donald Trump. Some people think rightly, some people think wrongly, but a part of it, there became the question of presidential immunity, and the Supreme Court have stepped in and made a bit of a judgment on it for certain cases. Now, this, I'll just give my quick take on that. There's two sides to look at it. The reason this came up is because the Democrats are trying to jail Donald Trump, to try and get him removed as a political opponent, rightly or wrongly. And that this is where the presidential immunity question came in. Now, my view is that the question should have never have been asked. Okay, you have, that could be an easy cop-out answer. But if you have the president of, any country, but particularly the United States, that person is dealing with war and with moving around such substantial resources that there is always going to be potential claims. So even if it's not war related, which obviously is, clearly the one that you could try and get any president on, you attack these people. Normally people don't get to do that. And the other thing is, if imagine moving around resources. So, simple case, one group of people want it spent on heart attack research, other group of people want it spent on, shoring up islands from climate change, whatever. So two opposing views. If money is spent in either direction, then the other side can turn round and say, you have led to the death of people on this other side. We're going to come after you. So it really is something that probably should have been left well alone. And then if something came up individually, then maybe pursue that. But generally, a president and ex-president is not pursued for things in office. So that's why the judgment came down about being in office. Now, this has led to some, disasterizing or catastrophizing or whatever you want to call it on the media, and picked up in, by some people in booktube land. And one of the biggest names in booktube land, quite famous, took this up and ran with this, basically a complete catastrophe. It's the end of the world is nigh video. And I put a comment on it. I didn't want the video to go past. It's the end of the world is nigh, right? Okay, so can I have some evidence, please? And what we're going to do about it? Oh, no, it's just the end of the world. So I thought it was too much. So I put a comment on it. I tried to put it politely, but of course you can never get that quite across, can you? If somebody is emotionally invested in a decision that they've made, and if someone's so emotionally invested in a strong statement, they're not going to back away from that statement. But I think, the logic of, starting with, nobody can predict the future, I think that might have just opened up a little way into, perhaps that bit's right. Nobody can predict the future. So if we start from that, if nobody can predict the future, then maybe it isn't maybe it isn't the end of the world is nigh. But I put on the video, you're now faced with the situation. Either it's the end of the world or you're wrong. I tried to put that politely, but basically, you can't too much, can you? And I said, well, it's probably in the best interest of everybody else that it's not the end of the world. And I got a comment back, which I never have before, off this person, which is great. And I put another comment, and then that was the end of that. I believe I was polite, tried to be logical, but tried to bring it down and not just join in with catastrophizing. Now, the YouTube algorithm sent me in the way of somebody else's video, who put one up agreeing that it was the end of the world. And we can all do it. We can all kind of put things strongly. I've not put a comment on their video, but this person, the clue is that they're a poet, and that part way through the video, at about 18 minutes, this person says that if the Republicans get in next time, they've already made it clear that they want to shoot their opponents. Now, I think that's a comment too far. The Republicans were in for 4 years. They have been in the past. Donald Trump has been in for 4 years. Didn't do it last time. I'd seen no evidence that this is going to be the case. Okay? And why don't they do it now? They don't need to be in power. So I think that's a comment too far. I think comments like, and this was said in both videos, that democracy doesn't work. Now that's, what do you mean democracy doesn't work? Does democracy not work because people you don't like get voted in? What do you mean democracy doesn't work? So right, okay, so we can not be happy with the decision, but what are you telling me to do then? I find that a comment too far. But my favourite was when it kind of slipped into, and I believe this was to stop a Donald Trump dictatorship, by implication. So to stop a possible dictatorship, Biden should call off the election, use these new powers of immunity, say it's your day job, call off the election, but he won't do it because the Democrats have a history of not doing what they need to do. I'm sure there's some logic in there somewhere. So to save a dictatorship, we need a dictatorship. Okay? So now, I'm sorry guys, but you've made End of the World is Nigh videos, and I think that is just ripe for a little teasing. Okay, so I'm not going to be rude. I'm not going to put strong comments. So you've accused people of wanting to murder political opponents. I'm not going to say rude things to you even, but that's quite strong, isn't it? So, but I kept my hands off the keyboard. But here's a little response in a poem. Okay. So remember at 1800 it was that the Republicans have made it clear that they want to shoot their opponents. So, as you are a poet, your response is strongly emotional and asks for no debate. Your comment at 1800, that's hard to relate. You realise it's in the category called imaginary future crime. You would need a New York jury and the New York Times. Biden needs to call off the election to save democracy. You're not supposed to vote for the other side, you see. Wars under Obama and Biden, not Trump, by logic means Donald is a warmongering chump. He must be a dictator and an evil Nazi. Who is trying to jail their opponent? Not he. In politics, one side are not permanently the good guys. Sometimes they have lows and sometimes they have highs. Does the laptop of hell and the Russian collusion hoax excuse January 6th riots? The voters must choose. Not the greatest of poems, I probably went on too long. Is it the end of the world if doomsday prophets get it wrong? I've got to learn to keep my hands off the keyboard and keep my head below the parapet. What could go wrong? Happy reading, everybody.